He heard the conversation and could not believe what was happening. After the curtains, Inspector Cambalache remained hidden while those two sinister people planned the robbery of the most valuable pictures of the city museum. The poor inspector was scared to death, and he did not know what to do. So he waited for the thieves to leave to hide and warn his comrades to avoid the robbery. You'll think Inspector Cambalache was a little coward. The truth is yes, but he defended himself by saying that he was a prudent person and that he thought things well before acting. The fact is that Inspector Cambalache took out his cell phone to alert the police and the museum. He left the door happily, with a smile from ear to ear, with the phone in his ear waiting for the call. Just as he was crossing the door to the street, someone with a strange look asked him, "Why do you smile so much, Inspector?" "Ha ha ha." He laughed, very proud of himself. "I smile because I'm going to avoid a terrible robbery this morning." "Yes. Really?" the stranger asked. "Where will the robbery take place?" "Well, in the city museum." He could not keep talking. At that moment, someone grabbed the Inspector Cambalache from behind, took his cell phone and covered his eyes with a bandage. Between two they held his arms against his own body and put him in a van that just parked opposite. The poor inspector realized his mistake. Who told him to go tell his plans out there, to anyone who asked? His own pride had betrayed him. But it was no time to mourn. He had to think about how he could get rid of those evildoers. After a while, the van stopped. Those men went down to Inspector Cambalache. They went into some place that looked abandoned, down a few floors in an elevator, took off the bandage and put it in what must have been a basement. There they left him locked up and left. "We were not sure you could have followed, Cambalache," one of the bandits began. "When we finish stealing the pictures, we will come to settle accounts with you." And they left, leaving him alone in that horrible room without windows and with a lugubrious bulb that blinked every bit. Only an old table and a rusty iron chair made him company. He sat down in the chair to think of his bad luck and his stupid pride when, suddenly, out of a hole in the room came a mysterious black cat with some light tufts of hair. The truth is that Inspector Cambalache was not very fond of animals, but at that moment that company was a great relief. "What's a cat doing here?" said the inspector, for conversation, while he waited, though he well knew that cats were not very talkative. "Meow," replied the cat, as expected, with a sad and pitiful meow. "Poor thing," the inspector went on. "You sure are starving." "What, hunger or what?" Inspector Cambalache jumped. "I'm crazy. I'm crazy," he cried, running around the room. "I have not been here for 5 minutes and the confinement has already affected my brain." The cat began to prowl around the Inspector Cambalache, while the poor man was struggling to get as far away as he could from that cat. "You are not mad, Cambalache," the cat began. "I'm a talking cat, and that's it. Do not you know any, or what?" Inspector Cambalache was not surprised. But since he had no choice but to speak to the cat, he replied, "The truth is, I did not know cats would talk." "How is it possible? And what else gives? Is that hawkata running through your veins? Are you about to steal the most valuable pictures of the city and you stay there wondering about nonsense?" "It is true. We have to do something. I need to get out of here." The inspector began to turn to see what he could pick up to force the door. The cat, who could not understand the unwise man, told him sardonically, "Have not you wondered where I came in? Because it was not when you came in, remember." "Well, that's right. How did you get in?" Maybe I can go out there. The cat showed the hole to the inspector. Being too small for him, Cambalache picked up the table and smashed it to the ground. He pulled out one of the legs and used it to pry and break the wall. Maybe he was not very clever, but Cambalache was incredibly strong. The inspector and the cat went out into the street. He did not know where he was, nor could he tell anyone. How are we going to get to the museum? He lamented. I have an idea, said the cat. Come with me. The cat, who knew the area well because he had been living there for a long time, led Inspector Cambalache to a garage in which there was a small plane. Come up, said the cat. What? How? I have not been a pilot for years. I do not know if I can do it. You're a cop and we do not have much time, so you have to try. Inspector Cambalache thought he had nothing to lose, so he concentrated and managed to get the plane going. They took off and within minutes were on the roof of the museum. They landed on the roof of the museum. They jumped from the plane and entered the museum, breaking the skylight of the central room. Alarms jumped from the broken glass just as thieves began to put the canvases in their bags. Scared, the thieves tried to flee, but the police had already arrived and caught them in Froggaty. The inspector had suffered a heavy blow to the head as he fell and was unconscious on the floor while this happened. When he woke up in the hospital, he was not quite sure what had happened. When he told the police and the doctors what he remembered, everyone took him for a fool. But when he himself began to doubt his sanity, a black cat with light strands appeared in the window and winked. Crazy or not, Inspector Cambalache was a hero and was awarded the city's Medal of Honor for avoiding theft. Of course, he never told anyone else his plans, just in case.